Now we're recording, so this becomes telepathic, and it means that you're also being telepathic. I don't know how aware any one of the three of you are, but you are functioning this way when we start the journey. It's just going to take time for your consciousness on Earth to allow you to remember this, to see it, to experience it. It's not up to me, it's up to you. It's not up to Satnam either, it's up to you. All three of you. I mean, this isn't something that they force on anyone, and isn't something they deprive anyone of. It's just that when you're living your life on Earth, you have to be ready to accept the responsibility that goes with the freedom you get from waking up as an Atma, remembering your telepathic nature, and so forth. Because the rest of the beings on Earth around you will not know this. And you know, you're wise enough now to know when to shut your mouth and not open it to the wrong people. Or you just get slapped by them with their negative fear. So we have to be careful there. I always have to be. And yet I'm out in front of the whole world publicly. There are certain people with great finance that have seen this work. Who knows what they'll do with it. But I know they're aware of me. And lots going on in this country now in the world that has never happened before, so it can be very good for full disclosure. When we go into these journeys, one of the things that happens automatically with you when you're ready is you'll just naturally close your eyes. Your body will go to sleep like you put it every night. And you have to get this right. The Atma's running the body, not you running the Atma. Your eyes don't work, your heart doesn't work, nothing works unless the Atma's running it. People on Earth run bodies all the time without even knowing how they're doing it. And they think that's normal. It isn't. Not compared to other worlds and other people, other humans. It's not normal. So Earth has a lot of changing to do for full disclosure. It can't just be dumped on the planet's people's heads, working in fear of the devil and damnation and being saved and this and all those concepts. It can't be dumped on the heads of people like that. They first have to let go of some of that fear for them to benefit. So the energy moving into Earth's atmosphere now is bringing the energy up and awakening some people in very high places. You know, you don't have to be the head of a country to be in a high place. There's other people on Earth doing a lot of things that are in high places that aren't a president or somebody like that. And I can tell you the disclosure, and I don't mean some wimpy milquetoast disclosure where some president says, oh, there's extraterrestrials, sorry we lied to you. That's not disclosure at all. Disclosure has to do with letting people know not only how many and what types of beings are coming here in secret, but how much was kept from the public's knowledge over 70 years. It scared leaders of the world for a long time. They're still scared, but they're now being compelled to tell the truth. They're being given some protection so that they can make decisions from common sense and not from fear. That has never happened before. So that's going to have beneficial effects around the world as all the knots of corruption and everything start to unravel. This is not being done by several people by themselves. They are being given some protection. They are not even aware of it yet. It allows them to operate in this way. So I won't get into more details about it because there's no point. Besides, it's more important that you find it out for yourselves anyway. Then when you know something, you know it, and no one can take that from you. So I don't know what you're doing. Can't see your face, Anna. That's okay. Just make sure you close your eyes, and you too, Susan, before we get started. When I go into the hues, it'll naturally happen anyway. It's so easy. Everybody on Earth doesn't have any problem putting their body to sleep at night. Everybody does it like masters, and they don't even know what they're doing. And they're not taught to bring any awareness back, so they don't use the higher faculties that are required for them to bring back awareness of what they're doing when they're out of their body every single night. Everyone is, including me. Beings that are more normal, that aren't on Earth, do this all their lives. They don't have a problem learning how to do it or believe in it or any of that stuff. They know they're not bodies. They know they're running them. In their case, they can run bodies for thousands of years sometimes, unaging. It's a very different life out in the universe than what is here. Disclosure also means people finding out just how more advanced humans from other worlds are than people on Earth. And if people aren't humble and they're fixated on their self-righteous, that they know how God is and this is and all that, they're not going to learn much in 10 lifetimes. They're not going to learn much in 100,000 lifetimes. Because the source doesn't require that we do what they're doing toward it on Earth. It requires that we become mature and wake up and co-create with it. You can't do that staying in just belief systems. Belief systems need to lead into experience, and that's how they should be. The different religions and things that are on Earth now that people follow really need to have an enlightening upliftment of energy come into them so their leaders can make decisions without fear. That's basically it. And then everything changes from there. This is a process that's being carried out not from Earth, not from Washington, D.C., from off-world. Since we're not alone in the universe, and we're not, we have an opportunity to not only survive, but become a spacefaring race. And not with rocket ships. That will never work. And we have to change dramatically in order to be allowed to play among the stars amongst normal people. It's quite a shocker for people when they get out there and find out that most of the organizational worlds in the Milky Way galaxy don't even use money at all. And we have to, because everyone's conditioned to it here until that changes. This is as much part of the journey, what I'm sharing with you now telepathically, as the journey itself. Because it's permanent. This is telepathic. That means that when you hear this from me, you're waking it up in you and you cannot forget it. This is not reversible for anyone. The Hue expansion ray moving through what people call divine spirit only works one way now. That vast area in outer space that's black or dark blue to people that see it with all these galaxies floating in it in just one parallel dimension of the physical universe is living energy. It is not nuclear, it's not atomic, it's not molecular, it's not DNA. It is the first sound behind creation supporting everything. And the center of our being as an atom is made of exactly the same energy. So we travel in that energy. It is not limited by phony, quite ignorant ideas of a limit to the speed of light. There's no such thing. There's no such limit. Light travels through the multidimensional universe beyond what scientists and people on Earth can't even begin to understand. Because it doesn't work in the laws of physics, which only pertain to matter, energy, space, and time, below the void, not above it. So we definitely want to end up above the void, or at least in it, or somewhere up there. Especially when you pass away from this life, because you're aware of it and are experienced in it, you'll probably end up going above the void, and that will change your future destiny completely forever. Beings that run human bodies have to evolve to a higher status sooner or later. And that is part of our destiny. So I'm going to send out the Hue 5 times. Do it with me, each one of you, in the sanctity and privacy of your own being. Match the tones. You don't have to do it out loud. And that'll open a door in the pineal gland and will get it ready for you to hover above your body, looking down on it with the help, always with the assistance of masterful beings, a couple, generally a male and female, that always get assigned to each individual that goes on these journeys, any one of the journeys, all the journeys, every time. Without them, we could not do them. They function to keep all subconscious problems and fears from all your lives turned off for these journeys. It's easy for them, it's effortless. They work to help us co-create recovering ourselves and going further than we've ever evolved before as Atmas. That's part of the process. We go to the Hue Expansion Ray Academy to mix it up with silent mentors because the lower world planes normally have no direct connection to them whatsoever, and they never have. And yet these beings exist. They maintain the galaxies and the planets and the suns and the stars, the doorways between dimensions, between the portals, between every level. They maintain it. They don't get involved in nurturing an individual to mastery. That's not their purpose. But they have absolute unlimited freedom in creation, can instantly appear in any form anywhere in the entire multidimensional universe to carry out a mission, and you wouldn't even know they were there. They could be a bottle cap on your kitchen table, and you would not know it. They do not have any need or egos to display what they do and get recognition for it. That's not what motivates them at all. In fact, that's not what motivates masterful people in the first place. It is what motivates most gurus on earth. Money, followers, that kind of thing. But if you've noticed, all of that in thousands of years has not changed this planet at all or made it any better. And it would end up self-destroyed if beings in the greater God from outside of Earth did not come here as they are doing and have been doing, classified, kept from the public knowledge. So I'm going to send these shoes out. Do it with me. Because fear and negative nature in the subconscious area of your being is turned off, that means there's a couple beside each one of you. Chantel and Tonaltil are behind Anna right now. Dantium and Lamtium are behind Lee. Another masterful couple is behind Susan. They have a similar appearance. They're from the Galactic Alliance. They are normal people. They have bodies on their own ships and their own planets. But they go on this work out of body with us. It is the Atma, fear surrounding it, that they shut off. It has little to do with the body consciousness you grew up with on this planet. Because it's the Atma you are that's running the body and keeping it, the heart working and moving. Human bodies do not ever run themselves. They're like a car. They got a battery, but they do nothing till you turn the key and get in and move it. Bodies don't work on their own. No bodies do. Animals, plants, none of them. Atmas are running all of it. The silent mentors are running the mechanics of the bigger creation. We go to the Hue Expansion Ray Academy in order to rub shoulders with them. I cannot tell you what their influence will do to evolve us further, but it would be really important and really good. There's no need to become a silent mentor. The training for that you wouldn't want to go through. There's plenty of them. But being something in between a silent mentor and a master teacher, that means the heart energy is involved in at least greater freedom in the universe. Go-betweens, we might call ourselves. So Atmas are meant to evolve to higher states. Ambassador Trillian wasn't always like he is now. But he evolved way beyond human physical limitations over 1 billion years ago. No surprising, since he was never a physical body in the first place. Neither are you. You never have been. Either one, none of you have ever been a physical body. You've run lots of them. Sometimes more consciously by far than on Earth, and sometimes not. Earth is life you're having on Earth here is not an example of greater lives you've had before this one. And you can trust yourself when I tell you you've had far greater lives elsewhere before this lifetime on Earth. So understanding the Galactic Alliance, how to pilot a ship, anti-gravitic drives a ship, being able to go to their planes, leaving your body, living in bodies for thousands of years without the disease and limitations we find on Earth, was normal to you at one time. Not new. You've just been terribly manipulated to forget that. I know I was. And so I had a choice when I got free of this stuff, to at least to the degree I have. I had the option of helping others get out of it or just stay quiet. I chose to be actively involved with Satnam, Terrellian, and many others. And I helped to bring into creation new ways of doing things when I returned above the void to Satnam's realm and befriended him. All the way to Agam Purusha, befriended him. I'm one with the source itself. We all are. But I moved back and forth from such a place in a consciousness. The timing of the omnipresent living power behind creation is its own timing. I am like a drop in an ocean, a conscious drop in an ocean, an Atma. Our purpose is to go back to source and bring back new ways of doing things. That's why we went through all this experience over billions of years, billions of lives on multidimensional levels for that purpose. Now, that purpose got terribly interfered with because of the old failed experiment of good and evil. And it is a failed experiment in eternity because it didn't produce the results it was intended to produce. Backfired. The silent mentors just kept everything in place. Satnam hung out in the Atma plane, and everything went good and bad, wars and no wars, murder, rape, terror, torture, all that crap on many worlds. It's been going on for billions of years. It has to stop sometime in favor of a better creation. That means the creation remains in place as is, nothing wrong with it. But how it's run is changed. You're not going to hear this from anybody else on planet Earth because it isn't coming through any other doorway in this way. And it was authorized and designed to do this. I came to this planet a long time ago to help world leaders accept disclosure. I was turned down. In fact, I didn't even make it. Others came after me that did meet with the presidents at the time, and they were turned down as well. Out of fear. The militaries classified have fired on alien craft coming into this atmosphere, or so forth and so on. They've never been fired back on. They've never been retaliated against in 70 years. And you'd think people on Earth would learn something by that by now. But they cannot learn anything from anything they're doing if they're making decisions based on fear. Fear blocks common sense. It does every time. So as we find ourselves expressing common sense in how we see the universe, ourselves, the multidimensional creation, we make right decisions. Sometimes we make wrong ones, but we learn from them and then we make more right ones than wrong ones. So when you see yourself above your body, that's easy stuff. It's no different than you imagine going to the store, shoveling snow, walking around the street. I mean, you're running that body from outside it. Really, you're not in the body, even though you're not aware of it generally. The only reason you're not aware of it generally is because of conditioning. Everyone and everything around you on this planet growing up with you had no idea any of this was there. They'd been made to forget all of it. So they couldn't help you. They couldn't assist you to grow up differently or to practice using higher faculties, to bring back what you're doing when you're out of body. None of them knew it. They still don't. The amount of people in the UFO disclosure and extraterrestrial communities on this planet, ascension people, fifth plane, quantum leaping and all that stuff is a tiny fraction, still to this day, of the population on this planet. Far too small a fraction to change the world. They're not a threat to the military-industrial complex at all because they're divided and conquered. They don't work together, and they won't. So they're not a threat. Many people are trying to get us to reveal truth. And some people are doing it without fear. Few. Others are peddling fear to make money. They get caught up in it. There is no negative nature in this work. It did not originate on this planet. It was brought here. Every one of you were brought here. Found yourselves in a position against your own will and made to forget. This process begins to reverse all of that. When you see yourself up near the ceiling, it's just like imagining going to the store. But your brain is not imagining any of it. In fact, it's asleep now. Your eyes are closed. There's no input, no information coming from the negatively impacted atmosphere of Earth. And when you see something now, it's you, the Atma, seeing it. With fear turned off, you can see yourself near the ceiling, looking down at your body, projecting a perfectly beautiful female form, about 36. Just standing out in front of the spherical Atma you are. This couple projects the same kind of thing. This is something you know how to do and have always known how to do. When fear is turned off, it awakens. So you're a spherical being, quite beautiful. Male and female, masculine and feminine spherical beings. Yes, that's how it is. Even though Atmas are in a sense neutral as core energy, they have chosen long ago to manifest more of a masculine side, which is progressive, or feminine, which is receptive. The two are supposed to be blended. People don't have relationships on Earth this way. Usually they just use each other. They don't know any better. They don't know who each other is. They don't know who themselves are. So Earth is like it is. And it is not normal. These two beings are simply helping you go on the journey without taking fear with you because you're not allowed to. You cannot take fear with you on these journeys. You imagine yourself with a little flash drive or a hard disk, and you're taking all your fears and concerns of the world and life, and you're putting on a shelf near your bed or wherever you are. You're just putting it over there, turned off. That's kind of what's really happening. There's a flash of light. There's a white golden light coming down into the ceiling where you live, which comes all the way from source. This vortex between space and the upper realities was already built by our friends from Offworld. We're going to light it up more when we add to it. So there's a brighter kind of golden white light flowing into it, and you find yourself in space in a circle of beings around Ambassador Torelli. He's 18 foot tall. He shows us that. Big, beautiful Atma hovering above the form he's showing us, which is not a physical body, by the way. Dressed, looks like one, but it isn't. It is a manifestation of original prototype form we show each other. And that it started to begin to be brought into creation before the lower worlds of time and space were quite finished, where people could go play and run bodies in the lower planes to gain experience. It was never the original intent of any of us to come down here and be trapped forget everything. That took billions of years for it to get as far down the scale as you find yourself on Earth with no memory. It did not happen overnight by any stretch of the imagination. The vast majority of higher faculties of the Atman are not on, not because of implants, because they've been forgotten or denied by us and making mistakes in the lower worlds. You blow up a planet by looking the wrong way. You feel guilty, things like that. The negative and positive energies surround you in the lower worlds, and before you know it, you can't remember how to get back home. It becomes a dwindling spiral after that. When we cross paths with the hue now, in this life, on Earth, it moves through us in a different way. It begins to guide us back to Source while we're alive. This is required for anybody to become enlightened, so to speak. We must recover our ability to respect all life in the grand multidimensional creation, not just life on Earth, which people aren't even doing that. And it's a requirement for us to become trustworthy, conscious co-creators with the Source itself. We are made of Source energy. We come from the Source. We've never been a physical body, ever. Many illusions of thinking you've been one on many worlds, and some that live thousands of years. But in general, in those lifetimes, the awareness of what you are, that you're not a physical body, was there for you from birth. In fact, in those worlds, a conscious being, a mature Atma, male or female, masculine or feminine, starts running a child's body when it's born as a mature being. And the bodies are raised in 6 months to adulthood on some worlds. And then they start running them, carrying out missions and training and flying ships and doing whatever they do. In space, Master Ramu is over by Earth. It's a circle of beings. Trillions in the middle. Master Opelum's further out in space to my right. Anna's over further to my right beyond Opelum. Susan, you're off to my left, and Lee, you're off towards next to Ramu, which is by Earth. There are other master teachers here from the Galactic Alliance. Some of them have Galactic Alliance uniforms on, like Opelum. Opelum's Oceana is quite separate from the Galactic Alliance, more evolved than it. Yet they're part of it because Opelum helped bring it into creation 500,000 years ago for this galaxy. This gets very complex and very deep when you start thinking about organizations like this that evolved in other galaxies, like Andromeda, our nearest neighbor. This is all taking place while we're running around eating and sleeping and walking around on this Earth, whether you know it or not. When we're awake out in space, and this hue is flowing down through Satnam, who's standing high up in space below a vortex right now. And at the dinner below him, there's a couple of silent mentor couples to each side of Satnam. A single pastel gown on of different colors, different hair, different skin tones, no facial features, a big Atma hovering above them, twice as many teardrop-shaped faculties, much larger than we are. Well, those are silent mentors. They are a different order of beings, but they really still are an Atma after all. So our potential is anything and everything. Light C is standing over to the left side of Anna. Little Chinese master. He's known as the Faultless Guardian. And he's come here. He has a body in the etheric plane and none below it. And he works in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy in a big pyramid where we have the Tree of Life. That's the smaller Tree of Life, and it's gigantic. It's connected to another Tree of Life in Agam Purusha's realm, many dimensions above the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. And we have to go through that doorway to get into the Source itself. He's like the guardian of anybody going from where he is all the way into Source. Nothing gets past him. He regulates the raw power of the hue and generates it downward through the planes, even in the upper worlds, all the way down to Earth. And the silent mentors maintain the power. He's like the regulatory power behind it, and they are the mechanics which maintain it. Mount Shasta in Northern California has an extraterrestrial Galactic Alliance base built within its center that was built there in 1908. It's been there a long time. World War II would have come out differently if they had not been there. And back then they didn't intervene. Not to where they're willing to intervene today. And that had to do with the Galactic Alliance Treaty that was signed with totalitarian races from the stars that brought a very destructive war to an end 500,000 years ago. There are no wars out in space in our galaxy. That's Earth plane planetary bozo thinking. They don't fight amongst themselves out there. Reptilians and greys that were negative and manipulated have been stopped from having any presence in our solar system or on this planet anywhere. They were removed 25 years ago when all gray abductions came to an end. There haven't been new ones since. People on Earth still do not know this yet. They were not removed by us, by the classified government, by anybody on this planet. They simply disappeared one day to make way for what is changing now. The Mount Shasta base has in the back of this huge oval, hollowed out interior, a tunnel, a lighted tunnel. It's like clear glass, like an oval tube. And ships can go up that, spiral up this mountain, and come out an opening above a waterfall in a single snow-covered mountain, hovering above a dome city in Earth as it is in the third higher parallel dimension of the physical universe. Just the third. And it is not like Earth at all here. There's no polar ice caps. Two big continents, one over the equator, left to right hemisphere, and one on the other side. A live moon with atmosphere, turning on its axis. There's no negative nature in the atmosphere of these worlds. Their luminous oceans and waterways are lit up because they are charged with the hue. The beings who maintain that are fully conscious co-creators with Source. So Earth needs to become something it's never been before. The overpopulation problem of Earth, and it's already way too overpopulated, can be solved in another practical way. That's being prepared. It's not something anybody on Earth understands yet, but they will. There are a number of men and women master teachers that make up this circle of several hundred standing around Ambassador Turellian. They come from the lower dimensions of time and space, in pure parallel dimension each one, where they have relatively paradise, and they are all involved in co-creating this change. These beings that are here teach in the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. And they're able to do that now because it didn't exist over 12, 13 years ago, Earth time. Now we're going to do something. We're going to send out the hue. The three of you do it with me in your own voice. Match my tones. Don't do it out loud. Just do it inside as the Atma. And we're going to light up that hourglass-shaped golden white whirling vortex. Is turning very slow. Has a blue-green luminous water-like envelope revolving around it. And it's designed to bypass the lower planes of time and space. We don't want to hang out in the astral, causal, mental, or etheric. And they're too vast, and they're too many sidetracks, too many illusions to get caught up in. So we want to go to specific places that are beneficial. I'll begin those hues now. And as you do it, look up above Satnam, high up in space, and you'll see this white golden light around us. It's around the Earth and the barren moon and the single sun and all that stuff. The billions of stars in our galaxy float in it. You can see them standing out. And the energy behind them is different than physical matter. They create electromagnetic fields surrounding the outside of the forms, like a galaxy or a planet or a you. And it is that field of energy that surrounds you in which implants and other things have been picked up or placed, through which you see the universe distorted in fear. Fear and common sense, fear and the use of higher faculties of the Atma do not mix at all, not even a little bit. So we have to have a way to shut off fear in order to recover. Let's put it that way. I'll begin those tones. You're going to hear beautiful sound coming from the other master teachers, the silent mentors, Light C, Etten Din, Terrellian, all. He's got his thumbs up with a golden light around them, a little brighter than the hue in space. And around us is a little oval golden shell of light. It's like the hull of a spaceship to keep us all together in a group. There are several hundred. The silent mentors and Terrellian, well, the silent mentors and Satnam operate outside of this protective field. They don't need it. But they're watching what we're doing and participating in what we're doing. The vortex above Satnam is quite bright now. You can see all the way up the upper end of it because it's magnified for you in the hue that surrounds us. And you can see this pale blue, brilliant pale blue, luminous blue atmosphere. That is the void. But we're not going there yet. We've just set this up. Why? Because there's a brighter white golden light coming down through it, through Satnam, through the silent mentors, two couples to each side of him, alternating male and female. And down through Etten Din, down through Satnam. My little cat Starlight is hovering there beside Etten Din with his tail blowing, quite pleased with himself. Beautiful Atma hovering above him. He's becoming more of a master teacher now, like Etten Din. He shows us a kitty body because he liked it, and I loved that body and who he was, that kitty body, and when he was on Earth. But he doesn't have to show that form. He's been human. He's tried all the different animals and mammals in Satnam's realm, so he knows what it's like to be them. He's a respecter of all life, and he's earned it. It comes down through Terrellian, these hues, and it creates a kind of a brighter light around us. So you could say, in a sense, that the source itself is involved in directing this journey. And we are co-creating its direction together as well. As co-creators, as the Atma, not as bodies on Earth. When you look at the Earth, you see its polar ice caps here in space. There's no negative nature around us or turned on. That's kept turned off with the sleeping body on Earth. That doesn't mean you can't hear things outside. Your ears will still perceive something, but you're really operating outside of it. The body's in the trance state called sleep. The difference between what you normally do at night and this is you're doing it consciously. You're going out consciously, you're traveling consciously. This is out of body travel 101, so to speak. More advanced mastery is direct projection. Direct projection means we're in one place one moment, there's a flash of white golden light, and we're in another place instantly. No traveling through space on a ship or any of that. Besides, these journeys cannot be conducted on a spaceship. These journeys can only access where we're going as the Atma, you. You can see the polar ice caps, the barren moon, doesn't turn on its axis, orbits Earth, always showing us the same face. So when we're looking at the moon cross in front of us, we're looking at the back side of the moon they call the dark side. And it's lit up from sunlight as it passes in front of the sun. It's not dark. It's just that people on Earth can't see what's going on there. This planet and its moon circle one solitary sun. Medium-sized yellow type of energy. The majority of suns in our Milky Way galaxy alone are binary or trinary. They're either two suns, one smaller one circling a bigger one, or three. There's as many as 4 and 5 in some places. These kinds of energies have a different effect on human and DNA and other things than you can get in Earth's atmosphere. And that's the majority of life out in the universe. It's not like Earth people are living on Earth today at all. And you can see the North American continents. The Earth is turned towards us. And we find that in a flash of light, we are now moving through the atmosphere, coming right down above the caldera, snow-covered, called Mount Shasta in Northern California. And you see 2 circular doors that look like snow suddenly part and open. Bright light streams upward. And we move down like a spaceship of beings right through that opening like a spaceship would. The door closes. And we find ourselves standing in a circle on a golden luminous quartz floor inside a huge hollowed out cavern. A little teardrop shaped car, open with the top, has a couple moving in it. It's moving above the floor. It does no wheels. It's an antigravitic little transport. John Troll and son Dima are standing in it. They get out and greet us. They know we're here. They're showing you their actual physical bodies. Because they're stationed in the Mount Shasta base. We still have a golden light around us. We're still a circle of beings. We're being graciously greeted by these two, and they're telepathically simply showing us around. You look around the walls of this cavern, which are smooth, like granite, and there's pockets with emeralds and gold veins that they've left there just for like a picture, like to beautify the place. And up on the left side of the upper wall in this curve is a tunnel. It's kind of an oval-shaped tunnel. It has little circular dome lights leading up inside it. It's clear glass-like. And that, John Troll and son Dima are telling you, goes to another Earth, 3 levels up, connected directly through to a cavern above a waterfall and a single snow-covered mountain that exits and looks down on a dome covering 3 large 4-sided golden quartz cap pyramids in the back third of a type of a small city. You look in the background and you can see several rows of Galactic scout craft parked there. disc-shaped, clear blue glass-like tops, the way they look today. And in the background, a long rectangular building, 5 stories, kind of vertical oval, convexly shaped, clear windows. You can see people working on every level, different races from different places and planets. You can see a ship, a scout ship closest to us, and there are Oceanans working around it. And technicians garb, like little blue technical, mechanical garb kind of thing. So they're here, they man this place along with many other races. The sound here is like gentle, deep humming. The place is charged with the hue. That's why the floor glows, quartz. Same as charging water. When it's charged properly, oceans on Earth and waterways will glow a foot above waterfalls, lakes, and ocean. And oceans remain calm. Earth's oceans are depleted, so they're not calm at all. They're quite violent. There's enough hue in the atmosphere of Earth to keep bodies running, barely. But it isn't normal. So he's telling you all this because he's telling you the truth. And Sundima steps in with her beautiful voice and begins to tell you that it would be a good thing if, as a group around Turalene, we went up through that doorway. We're going to follow a scout craft. The one that's landed on the ground, the technicians move away. It turns on with a pale blue light around the hull. The little 3 tripod legs retract, and it's hovering there. And then it starts to move up across this, inside of this facility built inside the mountain, and goes up inside this tunnel. That spills about like the size of a dime to a dinner plate. So it's a pretty big tunnel. As a group of beings, this energy surrounding us, like the hull of a ship, starts humming and moves up into this tunnel after this ship. And as we go down it, it seems to go straight. Then it seems to spiral upward. And parallel to this, you can see to the right a tube has transports running through it with occupants inside. Not a ship. This goes to different places within the mountain and to different parallel dimensions. They're linked. And it's a transport. It looks like a double-ended quartz car with a canopy on it, and it's glowing on each end, and it's moving through this tube at tremendous speed, so it darts way ahead of us. Way up ahead, you see this ship coming to sunlight in an open oval cavern. It shoots out of it, and we follow it. When we're out the outside, you can look back and see the tunnel we just came out of, and now you're looking at a single snow-covered mountain. There's a waterfall coming out of a cavern open right below this tunnel. It drops thousands of feet down a sheer cliff face. It's glowing blue-green, and it drops behind a blue forest, a blue, almost a little bit of green, blue forest trees, and it circles around the backside of the Dome City on the lower plateau. Eventually, it winds its way to the ocean, which you can see in the distance. And that ocean here is glowing, and it is calm. The ship spirals down and lands on one of 3 blue disc foot-thick pads and turns off. An oval opening opens in the side of the ship where there's no seam. Little quartz steps come down to the ground, and men and women come out of it and enter a triangular opening in the base of this dome. The back of the dome has a small miniature mountain range surrounding half of it, with waterfalls coming out of caverns that fill an oval blue-green lake. There are little white dome buildings and little white roadways in between each of them where people live. So the back third of it, with the 3 pyramids that surround a long ivory-colored dome, it's about maybe a fourth the height of the pyramids, is like laboratories. We suddenly find ourselves on a white, stone-like path next to trees lining this blue lavender grass. And the trees look like giant weeping willow trees with broad spoon-shaped leaves. Some of the birds we find in Satnam's room with the long V-shaped split tails are here too. Atma's hovering above them. They sing this beautiful song and keep the hue in this environment very pristine. Satnam, Opelum is standing on the path with his right hand up. You can see the little webs between his fingers. And he lifts his neck up, and you see 3 little slits way back at the back, just showing you that as a human, 4-stranded, not 2, on Oceana, where he comes from, they breathe underwater or on land. So, in the next instant, we find ourselves out on the beach. And we're following a straight moss-covered path. It's also luminous with water moisture that is charged. These jungle trees are quite taller than the ones on Earth. And we find ourselves suddenly standing with our bare feet in this curved, luminous, emerald green sand. Torellian is standing offshore up to his knees, 2 thumbs up, smiling at us. And as we wiggle our bare toes in this sand, remember, this is a perfect type of body you have that's not made of DNA. It's energy. But it has the perceptions of a human form so that it can be in different realities and have experience there. The Atma needs a form made of the matter in that body to function and retrieve information and experience from each plane. This is why you each have a body in the physical, astral, causal, and etheric planes, and you're running them simultaneously right now as a single Atma. This green sand is a gift from what are called the Zentranamus race. You can see standing on the beach a tall man and woman about 10 feet tall with longer necks, longer fingers, longer arms, longer feet, bigger feet, well-dressed, elegant, and they move in a circle. They start to walk in a spiral in between us, and we're down this beach, and then they stop. The woman has her palms up, face out, and there's a green emerald light around them. You begin to realize that it is this one female that is charging this beach. She has a statue inland about a mile in a clearing. It looks like her, made of quartz. Has a gold headset on, the downward facing faceted emerald green crystal. So it's a portal, it's an interdimensional portal, and she comes through that, and the statue itself acts as a channel to keep that beach charged. Now what happens is the green energy flows up your feet, the top of your head, and into the white core of your being and out to the green layer, turning some things on, brightening others that are on, beginning to rehabilitate them. This has to do with all you've been made to forget in lives in the lower worlds of time and space. The green energy is for that purpose. We find ourselves in space, high above Earth. You can see there's no polar ice caps over the planet. You can see a big continent centered over the equator. That's Lemuria. You can see another continent, Atla or Atlantis, on the other side. This is where these names come from. The poles of this planet never flipped like they did on the Earth you're familiar with. It's a prototype place. Galactic Alliance personnel work there, master teachers work there, silent mentors come there. Torellian really is mentored by the silent mentors, so he comes here as well. But this isn't the Earth you know of. In the center of this big continent, away from where this single snow-covered mountain is a city in what looks like the Himalayan mountains. It's called Agam Purusha. You could call it Shambhala or Shangri-La, wherever you want. But it isn't located in the Himalayas on Earth. It's in a higher parallel dimension. There's monks in a monastery high up on a mountain plateau surrounded by a beautiful springtime valley. There are teachers there that work with students when they're out of their bodies, but you can only go there as the Atma, not in a physical form. Ships do land there from the Galactic Alliance for one purpose: to have the monks raise their vibrations so they can withstand the terrible negative nature of the atmosphere that's in Earth and walk amongst people unnoticed. There are many beaches around this continent of different colors, luminous. The ocean is calm, blue-green and lit up. No polar ice caps. The moon has little oceans, mountains, rivers, little dome cities, turns on its axis, no polar ice caps, orbits Earth. This is normal. Earth's moon must be repaired. It's damaged. It does not work. And we find ourselves in space, in a circle of beings around Turelian. Up ahead you see above Satnam this vortex. But we're not going there yet either. Turelian points out in space, the sphere of light around his hands stays there. And we find ourselves in a blur of light, darting between the Earth and the Moon, and suddenly we're hovering above a planet in the third higher parallel dimension, where this Earth is we just visited with the green beach, and it's called Oceana. It's in the physical universe. But understand, it's in the third higher parallel dimension of the physical universe. This is normal. Advanced spacefaring races know how to take their craft between them within the physical universe. We're looking down on a planet 4 times bigger than Earth. Has no polar ice caps. 3 moons the size of Earth, no polar ice caps, all alive with life. Dome cities covering pyramids in jungles, oceans calm, lit up. This planet and its 3 moons orbit a trinary star system, 3 suns. It's a big blue, hot, white, young giant star, big yellow one, many times bigger than our sun, and then a smaller one out further out, and they orbit each other. These planets revolve around a trinary sun system. We find ourselves moving down in the atmosphere of Earth. You can literally see Opelum standing outside the circle where we are, moving into the atmosphere. He is our guide. We pass through these pastel pink and slightly violet clouds, luminous. You can feel the water vapor on your face. And then we go through the clouds and we see a big clearing near the equator, and there's several islands near the equator, no other continents. And we're coming down to a luminous golden beach, big curved beach that surrounds this biggest island. And as we approach it, we can see there are domes covering pyramids, which are functional devices, interdimensional doorways. In the distance, back into the distance across the island, symmetrically placed, connected by transport tubes, circular tubes where these transport cars run between them, anti-gravitic transport cars. And then we're looking at one that comes out of the jungle and goes down into the ocean. And we're just hovering above the sand, watching a transport car appear at the ocean, stop momentarily with male and female Oceanans, and then it disappears in a blur of light. And we follow it down into this luminous ocean. Several miles down, we see that the floor of this ocean has domed cities connected by these transport tubes in triangular patterns out into the ocean on the bottom of the Oceanian ocean floor. To the left side of us is a long cylindrical volcanic tube off in the distance. And when you look the other way, it moves up the side of this huge mountain, which became the island hundreds of millions of years ago when these volcanic tubes were emptied. And the side wall, you see a semicircular half sphere, outward protruding, clear dome window, and Et and Din are now inside waving their fingers at us. That's their bodies on Oceana, but they are also hovering above Turelian in the circle of beings as Atmas, with a projected perfect form. Their physical bodies on Oceana look the same age as their projected forms because they're normal. They don't have this problem we have on Earth. We're not going to the Dome City. We're going into Etta and Din's home. You find all of us like little miniature people in a circle around Terrellian, and there's Etta and Din bigger than we are, smiling at us, little tails glowing, hovering about 4 feet above what looks like a little living room. And the other side is a convexly curved outward, a clear window. And then there's an ivory colored floor, smooth as glass, that goes to the right and down and outside. And we find ourselves following them down this doorway. And we come out and stand on this luminous stone-like floor. And we look up at the back wall of this huge chamber, many miles long, hundreds of feet tall, just huge. Everything is lit up like bright sunlight because the phosphorescent minerals in the dirt, in the water, and in the plants are charged with the hue, and they create a sunlight here like sunlight in normal daylight. The plants produce oxygen, take out the carbon dioxide. It's a complete ecosystem, self-contained at the bottom of the Oceanian oceans. This is where drens evolved over many millions of years. Silica-based. Their chambers, more sacred chambers here, have massive, many hundreds of millions of year old crystals, emerald, rubies, sapphires, anything you can think of. And they're kind of meditation places for them. Now, these crystals actually function and are luminous. The Oceanian science is the most advanced crystalline-based technology in the galaxy. The only ones close to it would be, well, Sayrays were way beyond that, but the Xentronomus people are masters of DNA, crystalline technology, and all that kind of thing. Most of the crystalline-based technology for computers and control surfaces, anti-gravitic drives, were brought into the Galactic Alliance by the Oceanian race, by Opellum, and Dom, the chief scientist. So you're looking at this beautiful, you can see a pathway winding way off miles into the distance. And there's a long, oval, blue-green, luminous lake lit up. And coming out of a big cavern, pouring down 3-tiered waterfalls, is this water that fills the lake. Far at the other end, miles away, you know that it drops down an opening. It's circulated. It's clean, clear, charged H2O. It's not salty. And covering this dome inside are these semi-spherical, outward protruding domes. Little domes, and they're like living room windows for the drens. There's hundreds of the drens hovering around us all. They see us. At least they see our physical pure form. They're showing you theirs. In other words, they are atmas hovering above the drens. And they're showing us how this really works. It's a telepathic thing. So Etta and Din are hovering in front of us, welcoming us to the central dren city of On. Some of these little drens will hover up to you, male and female, and some youngsters, and chat away with you. Welcome you, happy, fun. They dart around, the kids are playful. So you get to experience a little bit about what these drens are like. Then Etta and Din, one at a time, come up to each one of you ladies and rub their little noses on your nose. That's how they kiss. It's just very affectionate. It's just like a welcoming thing. So it's really quite fun. And we find ourselves in space up above planet Oceana. There's an oval, golden and white sphere of light around us that Terrellian's thumbs and closed fists are still producing. Up above you can see Satnam beginning to recede up into that huge hourglass-shaped vortex that connects us to the void. And Terrellian is simply moving us all up into the opening, following him. The silent mentors, 2 couples, are right below him, escorting us. The Atma above Satnam is quite large. It's different than what the silent mentors' Atmas are, which are 4 times bigger than us. because he's the Atma of the Atma plane. That is the first higher reality above the void, the other side of the void moving upward. The sound is beginning to change as we enter this vortex and dart upward. It's changing from a deep humming to a high note of a single flute, playing a hauntingly beautiful melody that's drawing us upward. We come out the other end, and the vortex vanishes below us, and we are surrounded in nothing but a pale blue luminous light everywhere. It is the pure hue. They're actually a race of beings that maintain this, but we won't be visiting them this time. Most beings that pass through here don't even know they're there. We're moving upward at tremendous speed, and then there's a flash of light, and we're suddenly hovering above what look like giant jungle trees. Except they're transparent. Fruit trees, and palm trees, and flowering trees, and they're all transparent. Energy's moving up and down the trunks. There's a diamond, bright white diamond-like beach. You can stretch us at the base of this jungle. We are now approaching the other end of the void, and we are in front of Satnam's realm, the Atma plane. And that beach extends as far to the right and left as you can see until it curves in. It implies it's a big circular landmass floating in this huge cobalt blue atmosphere, because it has a brighter atmosphere around it than the void behind us. As we're above the trees, these birds come out of the branches with long V-shaped split tails, rainbow-colored bodies, big eyes. They look kind of like a blue jay. Two sets of bird wings, one above the other, and they're hovering there like hummingbirds. Atmas hovering above them, which are much bigger than us. Not quite as big as silent mentors, but certainly a part of them. And they're singing the hue with perfect vocal cords because they have them. These body forms are pure energy. They're not made of DNA or matter in the lower worlds. And they're actually holding the void together. They're singing it and creating it and maintaining it. That's how it's done. When we move over the jungle trees following Satnam, he stops to hover. There's a clearing down below us. In the distance is a long, snow-covered blue stone mountain range. We know that there's a throne chair that he never sits in, made of blue quartz polished, in between two big blue lapis lazuli gold-laced pillars, holding up a pyramid-shaped roof, and transparent glass-like buildings along the base of this mountain in the distance. But below us is a circular, maybe 100-foot wide, white stone ivory-like floor, maybe alabaster, like that. There's a fountain in it, 15 feet wide, with scalloped edges. There's a statue of Satnam standing on a pedestal. His palms are open with his hands down at his side, facing forward. There's a white golden light coming down into him. It fills this mountain, drops around the edges in a glistening, even white golden light sheet. And there's a flat stone sitting seat like a donut around it. 12 intricately scrolled legs support it. There are 12 golden cups on 12 hooks around the outer edge of this scalloped fountain. And you're going to see these cups pick themselves up, and Satnam is doing this. They're dipping into this fountain of light, and then it's simply being poured over the top of your physical appearing body's head. And it goes right up into the Atma and brightens the entire thing. It's a gift. And we look at this vortex that was created below. We see it's still up above us. It begins to transform into a different type of vortex here. Up in the brilliant cobalt blue atmosphere that surrounds Satnam's realm. You know, when you look in the countryside, there are different ocean beaches all around it. They go from red to blue to green to yellow. They're all different, and they have vast areas of orchards and pasture lands surrounding this mountain range, where beings go to experience what it's like to be animals and mammals and other beings. They swap atmas, and they learn this by direct experience. So you can come here on your own and do that whenever you want. You're probably doing it every night, even if you don't remember yet. That vortex begins to take the shape of a donut-shaped opening. Little tiny cobalt blue stars, millions of them, whirling around an opening. The other side, there's even a brighter cobalt blue atmosphere. And in the distance, you can see floating in this huge, brilliant cobalt blue light, a single massive circular continent or landmass. And we're suddenly projected up into that opening. It closes below us, so that leading into the top of Satnam's realm, we are now in a place created between the top of the fifth plane and the sixth plane. It's a special parallel dimension where the Hue Expansion Ray Academy was built. And we're moving over towards it at tremendous speed, and we come to stop near the shoreline. You realize it's a white diamond-like beach. Circles the entire circumference of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. The sound is humming from the air, and there's a white golden light behind the blue light of this atmosphere. You can see this sand. You find your toes wiggling in it. We're on the beach, and the southern roadway, the southern point, simply experiencing this energy of this white sand. You pick it up and you can see it's made of little spherical diamond-like crystals glowing. Those dissolve into your hands, go right up the top of your head and into the white core of your being. This energy of this sand is for you to remember your lives above the void that you don't now remember. So it helps you begin to have the courage, as fear is dropped, to recover this. The next thing we know, we're hovering above 6 mountains, snow-covered blue mountains in a circle, way near the center of this landmass. You can see down in the basin between the 6 mountains, a circular, luminous, blue-green lake. It circles a white island of stone. There's a smooth, blue glass, transparent administration tower. It goes up to a flattened oval center, up to a minaret point. And there is something inside the base of that, and it is a 4-foot in diameter blue crystalline sphere. In it is a brilliant cobalt blue star radiating, gleaming. It's hovering above a 4-foot high pedestal made of this same blue lapis lazuli gold lace stone. Best way of describing it. And it is a doorway between the source itself and the hollowed-out interior of the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. There are a number of silent mentor teaching facilities strategically placed around the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. 12 white leather-like chairs facing away from a shaft of white golden light face these big trees. They look like weeping willow trees. Standing above them is a silent mentor. One has a blue gown, male. One has a green gown, female, and so forth. A big atmas hovering above them. And in the center of this shaft of light, inside the hollowed-out interior, we can briefly experience what it's like to have the energy pass through from source through Turelian standing in this beam, and us in a circle, sitting in these white chairs, the Atma hovering above it. The energy is being moved from the silent mentors, the white core of a silent mentor, which is much brighter than us, and it's passing through us to Turelian and going back and forth. What it's doing, I cannot tell you, except it's kind of transforming us a little at a time. Then we find ourselves above the mountain peak, looking down on these roadways. The roadways come out of horseshoe-shaped old golden tunnels, oval, horseshoe-shaped, open, golden, luminous tunnels. These white stone roadways go out in every direction like the spokes of a bicycle tire, all the way around the entire circumference of this place, out to that brilliant, luminous beach. You can see a wave of blue-green energy crashing on this beach in a consistent roll, making a sound like angels' voices, feminine sound, and circling around the outer circumference of the entire landmass, comes back to where it started, and it keeps moving. Out in the distance, you can see 12 clear domes on single islands, circular. Those are silent mentor teaching facilities that are offshore. And then you can see this huge landmass divided with these roadways. You have north, south, east, and west. Northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest. And there is a roadway going directly west out of one of these tunnels, the base of one of the mountains. The first turn to the right enters a clearing with a big, massive, golden-sided pyramid, 4 sides with a quartz top. And we find ourselves with Turelian moving above this blue stone pathway that winds to this opening. It's clear blue glass, divided in half. It opens into the side of the wall of the pyramid, and out steps Lightsea. He's the guardian and teacher of this facility. We find ourselves inside it instantly, surrounding Turelian. And Lightsea is pointing to this tree. In the middle of it, the floor, golden luminous floor. It looks like a silver tree with a slight golden tinge, like a massive, perfectly formed fir tree. The trunk of the tree is lit up with white golden light. And as we move toward it, because we've been given permission to enter the tree of life, as we move forward into it, we see, and we have time to do this, every single needle on every branch shows you an image of a world or a place somewhere in the lower worlds of time and space, and the upper part of the tree shows us places in the upper realities, even beyond where we are. So we move as a group, like the size of a dime to a dinner plate. We move as a group into the trunk of this tree, and we're instantly shot up it. In an instant, we're coming out of another, more massive tree. Its roots are gigantic, go down into this whirling, fiery, orange and yellow and green and violet and blue light. It's whirling around everywhere. It's the raw energy. It manifests in this plane so that one being, Agam Purusha, can control it and distribute it downward. So we just came out of this other massive tree of light, and we're being greeted by Agam Purusha, which is the being who regulates this raw power and sends it downward. He's just massive. Hard to describe what he's like. He's not like a silent mentor. He's not like Satnam. He's just bigger. And I befriended him when I first came here. And he will just simply tell you, well, you have to offer. He won't say anything. If you want to be friends with this being, just ask. Very few have ever had the consciousness to come this far and never ask him anything. They're scared of him. You know, if there's fear here, it's not fear as we know in the lower worlds, but apprehension, I guess. Agam Purusha's lovely beings, like a teddy bear. And he's giving us permission. You can see the top of this tree goes beyond sight. Everything around here is like gargoyles coming out of this and fading away. Weird shapes. It's just an illusion, really. It's just the raw power moving around. He regulates it. So we're going to go back into the trunk of this tree, and we're shot instantly upward. We find ourselves coming out into another universe. This is the next place above Agam Purusha's realm, and his realm is many dimensions above the Hue Expansionary Academy. These two tree of lives are linked together. Lightsea is the guardian of getting into it to get to the other one. We can go directly to the other one too through certain doorways that exist in both the Atma plane and the Hue Expansionary Academy. Now we're moving towards what looks like in the distance one single brilliant silver golden galaxy turning on its axis. The atmosphere here is so brightly cobalt blue, you can't even compare it to what is below. The sound coming from this source is beyond human description. Orchestras wouldn't do it justice. As a group, we're moving in between what at first you thought were stars, circling a center, and we're moving between beings. much brighter than any star in the lower worlds. And there's a lot of space between them. We sail right between them. And as we approach a hollowed interior like a vacuum in the center, there's a single white island floating in the center of it. And we're moving toward it. And hovering above this island is this big Atma-looking thing. Thousands of layers of teardrops, maybe millions. There's a white core brighter than anything you've seen. It's not an individual. It is a nexus. It is a place where all Atmas are connected. It produces one omnipresent intelligence. It is not an individual. So as we approach this island, we begin to move in between the individual teardrops of it, and there's lots of space between them. Until we find ourselves no body forms, no look-alike human forms here, just the spherical Atma around Turelian. Etta, Din, my little cat, we're all here together. And then we enter the white core of Source or Prime Creator. And all you hear from this is this deep, majestic, baritone, male-sounding voice. It has around it flowing like the beauty of a woman, this angelic voice of the sound of the feminine, and it welcomes us home. Now what we find is that the white core of our being is identical to the white center of Source or Prime Creator. No difference at all. So we're now at one with that source. We are now plugged into the omnipresent living power that moves from here all the way through the lower creation, supporting everything, regulated by Agam Purusha. Satnam has jurisdiction over the guardians of the lower dimensions who are changing as we speak. Then there's a flash of light, and we find ourselves hovering out in space around Turelian, where we began this journey. Well, let's recap a bit. We know we went to this parallel dimension where Earth is. It's not like Earth, with a live moon. We went to the green beach. We went to Mount Shasta. We went up the portal that leads up into and out of a waterfall, cave above a waterfall, a tunnel really. We visited the green beach there, put there by the Xantronomus couple. We went further. We went to Oceana. We went down into the ocean. We went to the islands near the equator. We went to see Etta and Did's home, the Dren city of ONN. We went all the way up to the void. We went to Satnam's realm. We met with those beautiful birds singing and maintaining the void. We went over to see the mountain in the distance, the mountain, snow-covered mountain. We saw this one fountain with a statue of Satnam standing in it. And then we went up through a vortex shaped like a donut with little blue cobalt stars whirling around. And we went all the way up into the Hue Expansion Ray Academy. We visited the interior, hollowed out interior, and sat in white chairs and got energy between master teachers on one side, silent mentors on the other. We went up above the mountains. We went down to Lightsea's teaching facility. First turn to the right in the western roadway. There's a big pyramid there. We found ourselves inside it looking at a massive silver, white, golden tree. We were given permission to enter it. As we did, we saw all these little each needle represents a location in space-time and above it. And we went up to the Tree of Life in Agam Purusha's realm, went up from there to the ocean of sound and light, to Prime Creator, to Source, blended into it, remained individual. It is not. And we found ourselves back in space. And then we find ourselves hovering near the ceiling where you live. This couple is still beside you, and then they vanish. The white golden light coming down through the room where you are, the roof, you brought back with you from Source. It's imbued in the energy field around you. And so it's passing through your sleeping physical body and moving out through the walls of your home. It is passing through you for your benefit, and then continuing on into the atmosphere to charge things and begin to change for the benefit of others. This is the way it works. This is how we co-create with it. It goes to 3 pyramids on Earth's deepest oceans, one in the Atlantic, one in the Pacific, one in the hollowed out interior of a mountain Himalayas, with statues of Satnam and fountains in the center. They're turned on. They are devices. It's beamed from there to a bigger pyramid stationed between two stable asteroids in the asteroid field between Mars and Jupiter. That field moves at high speed in the orbit of a planet. It was a planet that was blown up called Maldek. The two stable asteroids are charged to have this pyramid bounce there. The fountain inside sends this energy to pyramids between individual stars, and then is connected to the white core. It's not a black hole. Human eyes just can't see it. And it goes up this core back to source. It moves all the way from source through us to the galactic core and back to source, and it never stops moving. When you're ready, we're back. Open your eyes. Well, I think Anna got what she wanted, and all of you as well. I think
Thank you.
she was inspired to mention those realities. We went to all of them, didn't we? Now, I'll bring this recording to a close,